You're listening to the Armchair Cricket Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Armchair Cricket Podcast, a podcast focusing on Test cricket by armchair critics of the game. So I have with me Ajit, like always, my co-host. Let me welcome him to get started. Hello, Ajit.
Hi, Giri. How are you doing, man?
Not bad. Well, um, could have better weather these days, but unfortunately, it's pouring the last 2-3 days here. So yeah, could be better. Things could be better. What about you?
Yeah, pretty much. It's been a very wet last 3 to 4 days. Has been very wet,
Yeah,
almost non-stop rain.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's autumn is about to pass and we're about to head into winter. So days feel more colder than normal. So trying to get used to it, usual stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the cricket, well, I think let's begin with the India-Bangladesh T20I series.
Yeah.
So, India were trailing 1-0 after the first T20I, but they were able to make a comeback, win the next two, and take the series 2-1. So that's well done to the Indian team. But if you were to look at the two matches, the second one was in Rajkot, right, on the 7th of November. So this one was won by India by 8 wickets, thanks to a Rohit cyclone or a Rohit storm. We were worried there'll be probably a weather storm and the match might not even happen, but that was not the case. The Rajkot was hit by a Rohit storm, Giri.
Yeah. He was also incidentally playing in his 100 T20 international. That was his 100th match. So the highest number
Right.
of matches played by an Indian in T20 cricket. So well done to Rohit for playing as many matches as he did. But what an innings! I think he made 80 odd runs. It's a pity that he got out. I think in the 13th over, he had a very good chance to convert his score into 100. But yeah, I think they were just blown away, like you said. So I didn't watch the match fully, but I only saw the highlights. And yeah, you see a huge gap there in terms of the operating level between two teams. One of them, performing at the very best. I would say, even without the stalwarts like Virat Kohli, for example. So they're doing well, India.
Yeah,
And about Bangladesh, what do you think? Do you think they did well enough in this series to make themselves be proud of what they did, especially without their star performer Shakib?
for sure. Also, Tamim is
Yeah,
missing, but they'll probably rue a couple of moments where if they had done a little better, probably the series could have been their own. So, for example, in the second T20I, they had put Khalil Ahmed to the sword in the initial spell, and the fifth bowler of India was going to be very costly. So, in the 4 overs, they had taken a lot of runs as well. But here they were not really able to put the match to bed when they were batting. So they had reached a very comfortable 83 for 2 after 10 overs, and you would expect from that stage that you would convert it to 180 or 190 or something. They only finished with 153 for 6. So a lot of credit here goes to Deepak Chahar, who took 1 for 25, and Yuzvendra Chahal, who took 2 for 28. And Washington Sundar has always been parsimonious. He's been very good, right? So in T20s, and he took 1 for 25, right? So these guys pulled the total back and they were only able to make 153 for 6. You felt, Mahmudullah scored 30 and Rahim failed, but there was nobody supporting them. So those another 2 or 3 boundaries could have made a big difference. And if that crossed to 170 or 170 plus, that could have been a really big thing for them. They missed out. And then the way Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan started, you knew there was not going to be a lot of problems if this partnership crossed 50 or 60, which it did, and they went on from strength to strength. So, by the time Shikhar was out after making a sedate 31 in company of Rohit Sharma, the match was sort of done. The result was beyond comparison. It was only what remained was to see if, can they somehow allow enough time that Rohit makes 100. Unfortunately, he got out. So there was probably also enough chances. There were almost 30 runs left when he got out and he had 85 already. So it was unfortunate that he got out and he could make 100 on his 100th T20. That would have been a very nice achievement. So that meant India went into the decider 1-all. And, it was a fresh day, a fresh match. And this was at Nagpur. And Nagpur has fairly big boundaries. So in this case, I think India made a small gamble, taking only 4, frontline bowlers and backing on Shivam Dubey and maybe, somebody else also in the 11 to chip in with a few overs. Right? This could have been very, very dangerous. It was almost a strategy they were sort of banking on batting second or chasing down a total. We also know that Nagpur can have some dew, so all of these were probably on their mind. But Bangladesh won the toss as it turned out, and they elected to field first, which would have been the right thing to do. But in spite of a not very positive start, Rohit Sharma getting out in the second over and Shikhar Dhawan getting out in the sixth over, KL Rahul played a very sedate innings to begin with and then set the platform very beautifully. And Shreyas Iyer made a wonderful 62 off just 33 balls. This guy looks like an out and out hitter. He hit 5 clean 6s, all 90-meter plus 6s, right? And then in the end, Manish Pandey came out and sort of helped him finish a strong total. So 174 for 5 on a very big ground like this was about 10, 15 runs, if not 20 runs above par. So, the fast bowling, which always worked in the store as far as Bangladesh was concerned, Alamin Hussain was all right, but Mustafizur Rahman and Shafiul Islam leaked a lot of runs. And most importantly, the off-spinning bowler in both these matches were not allowed to bowl. So Rohit Sharma in the second T20I had hit Mosaddeq Hussain for 3 6s. And in this T20I, Shreyas Iyer took Afif Hussain for 3 6s in the 16th over of the match. Right. So with that, the momentum changed from going at around 7 runs an over. Suddenly, India got that momentum and they were able to take it to beyond 8 and 8.5 runs an over. So that was a very crucial phase. They capitalized really well. But when it comes to batting, up until about 10th over, 11th, 12th over, the match was on even keel, right? So Bangladesh batted beautifully. Basically, it was Naeem who made 81, and then Mithun who kept him company making 27. These both held up, the Indian bowling and made a wonderful partnership. So until Mithun got out, they were 110 for two at the end of 12 overs or 13 overs. That meant this was a chaseable total. They had enough chances there. But unfortunately, from that point on, the Indian faster bowlers took over. Right? For a change, Sundar was very, very costly. But Khalil Ahmed proved good. He just gave away 27 in his 4 overs in a crucial chase. Even though Yuzvendra Chahal went for a lot of runs, he took the wicket of Mahmudullah. And then, well, what do we talk about when we say, Chahal? In such a high scoring match, he took 6 wickets for just 7 runs. This is the best figures in a T20 international, be it both men and women, right? And then he was wonderfully supported by the surprise package as far as the bowling was concerned. It was Shivam Dube.
Yeah. So RCB have done well, haven't they?
Well,
With Shivam Dube on their side. Anyway,
there are a lot of memes there, just to interrupt you. So, a lot of memes saying Shivam Dube and Marcus Stoinis, RCB have found their finishing bowlers and whatnot.
oh yeah. But talking about Shivam Dube, I actually saw a YouTube clip of him hitting, I believe, 5 6s in an over against the likes of Praveen Tambe. You know that leggy?
Yeah.
I think this is in one of those Mumbai T20 leagues. So I saw him. He looked like Yuvraj Singh. He hit like Yuvraj Singh. It was uncanny resemblance. But anyway, coming back to Indian batting innings, crucially, Shreyas Iyer was dropped by Aminul at point. The ball lobbed up to him and then he just, dropped it. It was a fairly easy chance. And he was batting on zero at that point in time. And as we know, Shreyas Iyer made the most important score in this match of 60 plus runs. And also, crucially, those 3 consecutive sixes against that off spinner, which ensured that India scored 170 plus instead of 150, 150, 155. So I think Shreyas Iyer batted really well. And he is one of those guys who can bat at number 4, number 5, number 6. You give him any position in the team, I think he can do. But preferably, he should bat at number 4. So when Virat Kohli comes back, India will have a wonderful problem on their hands. KL Rahul is batting well for a change, or he did well in this match. So who are they going to drop amongst these two guys? So we'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, so I mean, if you talk about Deepak Chahar's bowling performance, he did not concede a lot of runs. Okay, so I think he bowled really well in the first power play when he bowled his first 2 overs, and then when he came back to bowl during the latter half of the Bangladesh innings, he did not concede runs again. But apart from, let's say, the last 1 or 2 wickets, I would say it was, full credit to him for getting those wickets. It was also some very bad stroke play from Bangladesh. If you look, if you're really honest, it was just, the one of those things that happens when people try to slog and they get a top edge or, ball floats down to the boundary, and then there's a fielder waiting there to catch it. Apart from that Yorker that I remember, with which he got the last wicket, yeah, full credit to him. Although, yeah, I don't see that as the most wonderful bowling performance. We have seen better performances with less rewards, but hey, looking at the wickets column, I think everybody is happy. And then, coincidentally, 3 days after he picked up that hat trick, he picks up another hat trick, playing for Rajasthan.
Giri,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. It was not a hat trick because he bowled a wide
when?
in between those balls. So in that exact match that you're talking about, what has happened is he took a 4 wicket over. It was indeed a 4 wicket over, but there was a wide between those 3 balls. That basically means it's not a hat trick. So it was wicket, wide, wicket, wicket. So one of the rules for a hat trick to be counted is that the score cannot move in between. If for whatever reason, if it's not of consecutive balls,
Okay.
if there's a dead ball or something
Okay.
in between, it will mean that there is a chance that it will still be of 3 consecutive of three balls. But if the score moves in between, it's not a hat trick. I have suffered it myself.
Okay, so there
That's why
should
I'm
be
telling
no
you.
addition to the score in between deliveries. Okay, okay,
No, no, there
okay.
can't be. So his was not a hat trick. So just a small correction, but nonetheless,
Well,
he had a
I
4 wicket
actually have to
over. Right?
blame
That's fantastic.
who is that guy, Rohan Gavaskar, for this, because I was watching this match today, a
Oh, I
brief
see.
snippet of a match between Mumbai
Yeah.
and Puducherry in that Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy,
Mhm.
and there he mentioned that Deepak Chahar picked up another hat trick today against, I believe, Vidarbha. But anyway, so it is what it is, right? So you are right.
Okay.
But I think it was also good to see Manish Pandey chipping in with those runs towards the end of the Indian innings, and he made 100 today,
Mm-hmm.
playing in that Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy against Services. Karnataka scored 250 runs in
Indeed.
20 overs.
Indeed.
Wow, amazing! So he's looking good as well. So
Wow.
India have, coming back to this point, Indian batting looks wonderfully good, except for the misfiring Rishabh Pant. Let's not talk about him because Rohit Sharma does not want us to talk about him. But apart from that, I think it looks good. The bowling is also very good. So let's see how it goes from here.
Look, I mean, since when do we do what Rohit Sharma says? But nonetheless, I don't want to pour any more pressure on this youngster. Look, they say the first season, the
Hmm.
season of discovery, is always a great season, and the second season, when you're required to
Hmm.
repeat it, it's always going to be a
Yeah.
problem. So this part, I would say, is always going to be an issue. Most fast bowlers go through this phase. And as a youngster who's made his breakthrough in the last year, 2019
Hmm.
has been a bit difficult for Shreyas Iyer. But knowing the talent that he has shown in the past, he'll make a comeback. He'll come back well with strong results on the field as well, right?
Have you also been through a similar phase in your career, cricketing career?
Well, I don't know really. Possibly I may have, and it may have passed by me because I play in a club league and I take myself relatively seriously, not too seriously.
Okay,
Right?
go on.
Look, I was a bit disappointed. Sanju Samson did not get a game. As to where he would have fit in, I can give you an idea. So
Hmm.
Shikhar Dhawan could have been rested in one of the 3 matches, and Sanju Samson could have been accommodated, having Rahul open along with
Hmm.
Rohit. Rohit probably is the skipper, so he can't be rested, but that was still an opportunity. And I actually see this to be the way Indian T20 teams may go ahead.
Hmm.
Shikhar Dhawan does a very good job of holding the top of the innings together, scoring at 100, 105, strike rate.
Hmm.
But given that there are 3 openers or 4 openers in those top 4 spots, Kohli also opens for
Correct.
RCB, right? So I think they can sort of make do with one less opener there. Rohit Sharma is definitely nailed in. You will
Hmm.
not want to touch his spot. So it'll be either Shikhar Dhawan going away and making room in that 11 so that Rahul can go up, Shreyas Iyer can play, and maybe Manish Pandey or Sanju Samson, somebody
Hmm.
like this bats ahead of Pant. I still back Pant to be the keeper, but if you have Sanju Samson
Hmm.
batting, you have one more option that you can play both Shreyas Iyer, Manish Pandey,
Hmm.
and Pant and Samson, and that means Pant sits out. This is
Hmm.
another option where Samson could have played. But well, look, I would say it can come and go, but
Yeah,
there's still
I
a
was
big
going to say
IPL in
that.
between
Hmm.
before the next T20 World Cup, right? But I would say all of these people will get another auditions or enough auditions because there is still a lot of
Hmm.
T20 international matches left for India, right? But I would think Deepak Chahar has probably booked his flight to Australia. Do you think so, Giri, or not?
We still wait for Bumrah to come back. Also, Bhuvi. And I think Mohammad Shami will also feature at some point in time. So you have three quicks already, and then you have Khalil, and then you have Deepak Chahar. So he will be in the squad, but I don't know if he'll play every match though. So remains to be seen. But he looks very good at the moment. So he's operating at peak efficiency. And according to Shoaib Akhtar, whose video I saw, I mean, watch his videos on a regular basis. This is also what he said. He looks, he doesn't look very fast, but he has a lot of skills. And he's a swing bowler. He swings the ball initially, and now he's learned to bowl with the older ball as well as bowl in the death overs as well. So he's doing well. Yeah. So why not?
Indeed. No, that's a crucial point. He really improved his finishing skills, and that's very crucial as far as India are concerned, right? Of course, when it comes to watching videos of Shoaib Akhtar, is it a bit of Schadenfreude, Giri? Maybe that you're seeing him lament about Pakistan cricket, or do you really enjoy his comments?
No, I do. I do. He seems very honest and he's very passionate. And today there was one video that he posted with a lot of kids. I think that he records his videos sometimes from a cricket ground. And today there was a lot of kids. And yeah, he was actually playing with a lot of kids. And he was telling that these kids are the future of Pakistani cricket and stuff like that. It was good. It was good. I mean, it's nice. Yeah, I think his analysis is also quite good sometimes, especially about fast bowling, which is what I actually tune in to see. But yeah, it's good fun. I like it.
Well, I mean, let me put it like this: his commentary or his analysis is also as mercurial as his playing days. It can be really good or really mediocre. But
It's
we'll
okay.
probably discuss this another time. Going on, so if you, because it's the same topic, I heard his video about Pakistan cricket's recent T20I series against Australia, where
Hmm.
they subsided to a 3-0 whitewashing at the hands of
Yeah.
Australia, right?
Hmm.
So in the second match, they came up with a creditable performance. This was in Canberra, and 150 was the target set by Pakistan. That was very good. It was on the back of a wonderful 62 by Iftikhar Ahmed, right, and a 50 by the captain Babar Azam, who's been in wonderful form throughout this tour, right? And then sort of it was not going to be enough given the form. Once Steven Smith and Warner have come back, this is a different Australian team. This is a different beast, right? And these both have something to prove in front of their home crowd, and this was their first assignment at home. So it was always going to be a big deal, and they made sure that was how it was going to be. Because in this game, even though Warner had just made 20, Smith played this blinder of an innings, 80 of just 51 balls. Giri, I thought you saw a couple of some good shots there in that innings.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I saw one of the shots he played. He played a shot on the up, off the back foot, and he played a wonderful cover drive. I think that's one of the most difficult shots already. If you are playing a cover drive off the back foot, I think you will agree with that. But this was quite mercurial. This was amazing. It was just hands, flowing through. It's to watch. He has such good hands. I think if and when he loses his hand-eye coordination, his career will be over. I think we have spoken about this some time back as well. But amazing! What a talent, man! What a talent! It look. I mean, it seems like he never left cricket. He just took a holiday for 1 year and then now he's back. Playing so well again. Amazing, wonderful talent.
It's also this sportsman working at his peak efficiency, what you mentioned earlier. Because off air, we were speaking about how Kohli had played that unbelievable
Yeah.
flicked six off the back foot through mid wicket through a straight with a straight bat or something like this. If you remember, right? It's again a sports person with all the parts working together and all those hours of practice put in the net, suddenly coming out there and giving you that that magical shot or that magical ball. But nothing to take away from Smith. I think he has come back with a
Yeah.
vengeance because he has this point to prove and he's very serious about it, right? But when you look at the series, it is Pakistan's strongest suit, T20, and Australia's weakest. And I know that they're playing it in Australia, not in a neutral place or somewhere in Dubai or somewhere. But it's very strange to see that it was not at all a contest. Indeed, it's a bit of a surprise that the first and the third matches in the series were routs, which was not expected. Given that Pakistan are the number one T20 ranked team and probably their most consistent format across the last 2 years, it was a bit of a disappointment. So, one felt a bit let down by the bowling performances specifically, right? And there was a huge contrast, for example, in the performance of the spinners. So Ashton Agar probably was the best spinner on you in the series, and that's a big, let's say, plus as far as Australia is concerned. And of course, though he did not play in the third ODI, in the two ODIs that he played, the leg spinner also did a good job as far as the Australian team is concerned. On the other hand, Shadab Khan was almost was not really a factor in the series, which came as a bit of a surprise. And also, if anything, Australia would be a bit careful about the lower middle order and the middle order. They have a Maxwell shaped hole there, so that's not an easy, let's say, a hole to fill in the T20, at least for me. So let's see how that goes in the upcoming couple of days or in the upcoming couple of series as far as Australia is concerned. Sean Abbott made a comeback in the third T20I and he was very good, right? And of course, the top five are doing really well. Top four, top five are doing really well. So it's going to be an interesting, let's say, outlook from both the teams heading out after the series. Now, moving on, if you were to quickly take a look at the ongoing, the women's limited over series out in West Indies, where West Indian women are hosting the Indian women. So the third ODI, which happened at North Sound again in Antigua, was won by India comfortably, led by Mandana, right? And then in the T20I series that followed, so Indian women currently lead 2-0. But there was an interesting point in the first T20I agree in the women's T20I. Did you maybe catch this? Maybe caught a highlight or maybe saw part of it?
No, not a lot, but I remember seeing the ODI series a little bit. But anyway, yeah, I think this new teenage prospect or prodigy that the Indian women's cricket team has now in Shafali Verma. She's just 15 years old, and she looks the real deal at the moment. I think she can score even faster than Smriti Mandhana. So that's yeah. So coming up the ranks.
That's quite something. And for a 15-year-old prodigy, I mean, she has a very uncomplicated style of batting. It almost reminds one of Sehwag or even Prithvi Shaw,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
See the ball, comfortable technique, hit the ball through the line, confident batting. I would really be curious how she would fare against a slightly faster bowling attack and also on a bouncier pitch.
Hmm.
But those are just things we'll have to see how she'll adapt. But she looked really comfortable, especially in the second T20I where India chased down a modest target without any wicket loss. She comfortably outscored Mandana, as you said, and was very destructive in the batting. And that was very nice to see. So who knows? We have probably found a talent that can serve the Indian women's cricket for a couple of decades to come, God willing. Right?
Just like Mitali Raj. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. So moving on, there has been another T20I series, unsurprisingly. So in this case, this is the New Zealand and England T20I series. So this series also came to a conclusion in the interim between the two episodes. So the first two had been completed and the teams were locked 1-1. But now England have taken the series 3-2 thanks to another super over victory over New Zealand in the fifth ODI, 50-20 agree. Any chance you were able to catch some of it?
No, but why am I surprised? Why am I surprised there was another super over between these two teams?
Well,
Oh.
at least, this one at least finished at the end of the super over. It was Chris Johnson who was the difference between the two teams. He made sure New Zealand could not chase down all the runs required, and he made sure, England came out victors comfortably at the end of the super over. This was in the fifth T20I, but in the fourth T20I, David Malan scored 100, and it was a very steep chase, but he made it look very easy as far as England were concerned, and they chased that total down comfortably. But in the third T20I, which was played in Nelson, it was a strange sort of a meltdown, an old school England meltdown, where they lost 5 for 10 and they threw away a chase. It looked like it was going to be their game, but suddenly they lost 5 wickets in a clutch, and that was that. The match was lost. So, but all in all, considering that these are going to be preparations for both the teams for the next year's World Cup, both the teams are in a good position when you look at it, right? Ross Taylor looks very comfortable. They're also New Zealand are also able to experiment with Colin Grant moving up and down the order, right? One of the things they look to sort out is the opening position. So Colin Munro isn't doing much, and also their lower middle looks a bit thin. Well, when Jimmy Neesham is fit, he adds something to it. But otherwise, you have Darren Mitchell playing, and it doesn't look like a very competitive lower middle order, or basically where you usually see Colin de Grand home. But if he's pushed up the order, they have to make some. They have to think through who will be finishing their innings when it comes to batting, right? So some interesting things. But England again look really good. As a limited over setup, Pawan Morgan has taken them to the next level. And come the T20I World Cup, I would be curious if they would still be the front runners again there. They look like a good, well drilled outfit, and they have this winning mentality where they will not let go easily and they will make you fight hard even for the until the last one. There can be some odd bad days where they lose 5 for 10 like the third T20I, but normally they look very competent, this England team. So I'm very curious as to how they'll fare in the next year's World Cup. Giri.
Yeah, but some competition up, especially from India. India are still building their team, of course. Still almost a year to go. But apart from that, I think yeah, it'll be fun again next year. Especially with Australia, I think the bigger grounds. So six hitting will not be so easy as it was probably in England or in New Zealand at the moment. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Indeed, indeed. So, but plenty of time left for that, and I think we'll follow both the teams through a few other T20A series. So we will see how they shape up come the World Cup. Also, there was this three match one day series between Afghanistan and West Indies. This was one of those series that I will try to summarize quickly. Giri. So Afghanistan lost the series 3-0. It came as a bit of a surprise. But moving on, if you were to look at some of the interesting news off the cricketing field, Giri, so it looks like Dhoni will be commentating on the India-Bangladesh day-night test. So, what do you think will be the first question that will be put to him?
Oh, what should it be? I mean, is it going to be something like, when are you going to retire?
Oh, no, no, no. I was more like, are you going to be a part of the Jharkhand under 23 team in the upcoming year? So that, he's going to start training
Okay.
with Jharkhand under 23 team next year, right?
Okay, I didn't know that. So that's quite some news. So he's going to restart his cricketing career from the youth ranks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's going to grow his hair long, probably, dye it black, and go back to being the swashbuckler that we know Dhoni was at some point in
Uh,
time. Well,
yeah.
outside of the jokes, it looks like he's slowly going to transition out of the playing field into the commentary box, and this is sort of his first couple of attempts at it. This is the way I look at it. I don't know if you
Hmm.
see it in any other way.
Yeah, I mean, there is a trend here. So firstly, he trained with the Indian Armed Forces. I think he tried that. Now he's going to try his hand at commentating. And then what's it going to be after this?
Hmm.
But anyway, I mean, let's come back to cricket.
Right.
So the pink ball match between India and Bangladesh, what do you think? How is it going to be? Because I saw some, let's say, points made by Cheteshwar Pujara and also Ajinkya Raghane. Apparently, though, these two guys
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
played in Duleep Trophy with the same ball, with a pink ball, of course. And according to Rahane, there is more seam movement with this pink ball. And at Eden Gardens, with a bit of dew, late in the evening, I think it's going to be fantastic. And I think the first session, play out the first session, you'll be fine for the next two sessions. It's going to be out of the window now because ball will behave differently all through the evening, late evening as well. So
Exactly. I think the third session is going to be the moving session, right? So it's going to be an interesting way to approach cricket. Also, there is
yeah,
this dew factor, what you already brought up. So will the ball hold up? Will the fast bowlers be equally comfortable, even though there'll be a heavy air so that you get to swing? But will the ball be in a good enough condition that it will swing? So
yeah,
all of these remain to be seen, as far as I'm concerned. But usually, we have found day-night tests are usually shorter in duration because what in a normal test is a good total of 300 or a 350,
yeah,
more is
yeah,
like
yeah,
250 in a day-night
yeah.
test, right? A good innings. So it's going to be interesting. It's also the first one in India, so I'm very excited by it. And SG are going to make a special ball to accommodate
Yeah.
some wishes we have discussed it in one of our previous episodes. So also maybe it's going to be a bit more resistant to the dew, and it's going to hold up and it's going to swing nicely. Kidding.
Yeah, I happened to watch this video very briefly. There was a small documentary where somebody made a tour of the SG factory where they make all these cricket balls. So they showed how they made this new pink ball. The ones in I think Duleep Trophy, they were not SG balls. So people who said those balls were not good, those pink balls were not good, I think that's not fair because they were not SG balls. And SG balls being tried out at Eden Gardens, it's going to be something else because I think in the southern hemisphere when they first played this day nighter, I think it was with a pink kookaburra, right?
Mm,
So, and
mm, mm.
this guy, I think this managing director of SG, he made a point that all the points that Indian cricket team make after a test match, like they did after the South African series. Balls should last longer, more than 50 overs, and so on and so forth. And they're working really hard on achieving that. So they'll make the leather more durable, and there'll be more life left in it. The seam will still be pronounced for a longer duration, so the bowlers are still in the game. So these things are being kept in mind when they're preparing these, when they're manufacturing these pink balls. But pink balls really look very nice. I think they're more visible. It's a very good addition to the game. I really like that.
No, I agree. So I've actually played with the ping ball a couple of times.
Hmm.
So as far its performance is concerned, I did notice that it swings a bit more, right?
Okay.
So the pink ball with the dark seam it also has a slightly higher visibility.
Hmm.
And sometimes here when we play the late night T20s, we also used to have a pink ball, and it's slightly larger. I felt, I don't know, maybe it was my personal feeling, but I felt it was slightly larger. But as a spinner, you have no problems with it.
Hmm.
You're good to go with it. This is what I saw, and there's definitely more swing in the air.
Mm.
So it's going to be an interesting contest if you're a batsman for sure, Giri.
Was that a Kookaburra you played with, or Dukes?
It was a pink kookaburra. So yeah, I think it's going to be overall a very interesting test, and let's really hope even in that case India are able to adapt well. And I heard that there's a lot of practice going on between matches in NCA with the pink ball late under nights,
Hmm. Hmm.
right,
Yeah, that's true.
under the lights. So it's going to be interesting. So now moving on, if you were to look at the other news coming out of IPL, you know, uh, it looks like the IPL organizers are trying to steal some headlines back from their ECB counterparts from the 100, Giri.
Yeah, so the power player was the first point they made a few days ago, and then now they're talking about having a special umpire, an extra umpire for spotting no balls, line no balls, especially. So, yeah, I don't know where they're going with this, but they're trying to make it more exciting and more, say, error free. Let's say, I think this is one of those. I think no balls should be spotted by the on-field umpire, but let's see how it goes. I think it's not so bad. I mean, it's not so bad anyway.
Well, fine. I think they have the manpower as well as the the money power to employ another umpire. This is not going to be a problem, especially if it's going to be a video assist, right? So the other thing is, if you remember in one of our very first recorded episodes, I had mentioned that it could be that sometime down the line, like a tennis, like you hear a big beep when it's on a ball. Like how in tennis you hear a big beep when the ball lands outside the court or lands outside the box when you're serving. It could be like that, and then this third umpire or a fourth umpire who needs to adjudicate the no balls can be taken out, and it can be automated, right? Something that we might still revisit. But as far as this BCCI innovation is concerned, well, it's a welcome addition, considering that in the previous instances of BCCI IPL there was some talk about no balls not getting spotted and teams losing some matches. Well, RCB will complain for sure, but it was RCB, I remember, right? But nonetheless, if you look at the three, one of the other things that BCCI also missed is that it looks like now the power player might not be introduced in the 2020 IPL simply because they don't find there is enough time to prepare for this. That's one of the press sayings that they have, or the press that we heard from BCCI. So I'm really curious how they're going to manage this in the upcoming season. It looks like there might be no power player, but instead there will only be maybe the this fourth umpire. So something to for us to really keep our eyes on, right? Going forward, in a bit of not so nice news, it looks like the number of people arrested by the CCB, that is the crime branch with the betting ring that's going on in the Karnataka Premier League, has gone up to 8. And there are two very unfortunate additions to this list. Well, there is one bookie called Sanyam who's been arrested, or the alleged bookie. Let's not call him a bookie. But this guy has been arrested, and he's the second bookie who's been arrested with respect to this case. But two Karnataka players, Muralidharan Gautam, CM Gautam, right? He was at some point in time, 4 or 5 years ago, he was on the cusp of India selection because he was already representing India and other teams, right? And spinner called Abrar Kazi. These two have been arrested. Both of them are, in fact, Kazi has just recently this year or last year shifted to another team in Ranji, but both of them represented Karnataka and Ranji. They have won multiple titles with Karnataka. So this is a bit of a shame, but we really hope they were just arrested with respect to some doubts and not that they actually took part in some betting, right? But we really hope, it looks like the anti-corruption unit of BCCI had already warned KPL organizers that this might come to pass, and unfortunately it has. So I really hope this cleans up the game as far as KPL is concerned, and it can go ahead in its true purpose of identifying, talent from the smaller parts of Karnataka, right? Going ahead, there are some other interesting press releases put out by BCCI, or some rumors at least, because we hear that some of the Lodha reform recommendations might be put aside or might be set aside because the newly elected BCCI governing body, led by Ganguly and the treasurer Jaisha, they have made a bunch of recommendations which might sort of supersede the recommendations that were made by Justice Lodha. Giri, did you get a chance to follow this news?
Only that there was some comments made by some people saying that you're basically, undermining the role of Supreme Court here, right? So that's the only thing I read.
Well,
Anyway,
look, if you look at those some of those individual points, it's about the number of people or the majority that's required for the board's general body to make a final decision. How many state association people need to be there? What is the BCCI viewpoint? What was the constitution which was made by Lodha recommendations? All of these are somewhat. So I see some older players like Srinivasan and his cabal sort of trying to get in. Also, we see that the number of years that you know a functionary holds, and then after that, after 6 years, he is not eligible anymore. Maybe they are trying to make this go away so that Ganguly can stay in power for longer. We don't know, right? Also, the amount of power the BCCI secretary usually has. It used to be quite a lot when Niranjan Shah was the secretary. We know this, but a lot of checks and balances had been put in place. But it looks like some of those powers are trying to be reinstated, right? Also, the disqualification criteria for when a person can be disqualified to be the office bearer. So there's a lot of other things. So again, this is an age, so 70 years they said should be the cutoff. But again, some other people belonging to certain cabals want to get in because they've probably already crossed 70. These things are trying to be put aside. Also, whether this person is involved in as a government official, is a government minister or a government servant, maybe if he holds public office, he can't be a part. All of these things, they're trying to negotiate these things through. So effectively, it looks like, it looks like it's the old gang trying to make a comeback, trying to set aside some of those. We don't know if they would have made really a big difference, and we really don't know if these other changes will come through. But still looks like this is the old institution trying to take up reins again in the BCCI.
yeah, different factions and their brand, politics, endorsements, these kinds of things keep happening. Yeah,
Indeed.
at a higher level. So, well, let's see what happens.
Now we really hope, the good that came off the Lodha reforms be really retained. Even if it means somebody like Ganguly not being able to hold office beyond a certain point and having to wait for a cool off period. Right?
Mhm.
Sometimes rules are bigger than the man. At least that's how it should be. Don't you think so?
Yeah, that's debatable. That is debatable for another day.
Right. All right. Moving on, in another interesting move, the Sri Lankan cricket, or let's say at least the Sri Lankan Ministry of Sport, right, has proposed a bill, and this bill aims to criminalize any act related to match fixing or betting, right? So anybody who takes part in match fixing, anybody who aids and abets, anybody who introduces people to other people who can do match fixing, right? Also curators, also people who might sort of get away by trying to omit some approaches. All of these people will now be culpable and they might be punishable by an actual sentence in a jail. So it's a very wide law, and the former president of SLC, Tilanga Sumatipala, tried to fight it a little. He was very keen for the bill to go through, but he wanted some amendments there, which were probably not accepted because one of the champions of this bill is a certain cabinet minister in the Sri Lankan government currently called Arjuna Ranatunga. Kiri, does the name ring a bell? Probably.
Actually, I seem to have forgotten him. Thanks for refreshing my memory. Wasn't he the guy who won Sri Lanka's World Cup in 1996?
Indeed,
And quite a polarizing character.
indeed. Well, the guy who loved walking singles.
Yeah.
He used to have some interesting arguments with a certain Shane, and of course, he was also very famous for walking singles and whatnot.
And also walking off the pitch.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this guy is one of the people really. all in when it comes to this bill. So that it has been passed as a law, but it's not yet come into force because there are some other formalities left. But that's how it's been portrayed, that this will become law. So this would be the first South Asian country to pass a law that will make anybody taking part in any such betting or match fixing activity be punishable in their own courts.
Mm.
When in the previous such instance this happened, they were found in a court of law somewhere in England to be guilty, and they were given a custodial sentence. If this happens, really, other South Asian boards could follow suit, and this could really put the fear of the rules into the people who actually play the sport as well as govern the sport, and who play around, for example, the curators and other people, right? So I see it as a really, really positive move, and I really hope other South Asian boards are watching this carefully and maybe can learn a thing or two from that, right, Giri?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good move if it happens. We know, cricket, the game is bigger than anybody or any person, any entity, any organization. So we have to protect the interests of the game. We have to protect the integrity of the players involved in the game. And I think this also provides a kind of a safety blanket for everybody playing the game. So I think it'll be good if it happens worldwide. But yeah, remains to be seen.
Indeed. Now then, moving on to the trivia section. So, if you were to look at the trivia question from the previous episode, the question was, if you were to take a cutoff of 100 T20 matches, which skipper has the best win percentage? So, I'm not referring to the international T20 matches, but all T20 matches. So, there is a surprising answer to this question, Giri. So, our regular listener and supporter, Yogesh has come through with the answer. So the answer is Sarfraz Ahmed. He is the one that has the highest win-loss percentage, 68.93 actually. So it's more like 69%, right? He has captained his T20 teams in 104 games. This includes Pakistan International Airlines, Quetta Gladiators, Karachi Dolphins, Karachi Regions, Blues, and so on and so on. And he has the highest win percentage. Dhoni has a win percentage of 60.29, right? Shoaib Malik has a win percentage of 65.62, and Rohit Sharma, sorry, has a win percentage of 62.2. These are the other people comprising the top five, right? So it was interesting that again, it sort of puts into limelight again the interesting choice that Pakistan Cricket Board made to not even include Sarfraz Ahmed in the team. But moving on, the trivia question from this episode is, we have witnessed a few hat tricks recently. So the question is, who is the first Indian to take a T20 international hat trick? Right? Who is the first Indian to take a T20 international hat trick? So we've had some interesting discussion about this on Twitter and so on. So if you've been following that, you probably know the answer, right? So this is a red herring, so you have to be very careful. So you can get in touch with us to give us the answer either through social media. For example, you can write to us on Twitter at Armchair Crickpod, or using our Facebook page, or you could write into us at armchair.cricket@gmail.com. Also, you could leave it as a comment to whichever podcasting app that you use. For example, Apple Podcasts or Podbean or Castbox or Acast or any of these. Right. Also, if you have any thoughts that you want to share with us, we would very much like to. Listen to that. So do write into us and let us know. And any thoughts that you would like to share with us will always give us a bit of a film. So you're always welcome to do that. So with such a lot of cricket coming up, the India-Bangladesh Test series coming up, the Australia-Pakistan tests coming up, and so on, there's plenty of cricket to look forward to, right? So we hope all our listeners are continuing to stay tuned in to our upcoming episodes as well. Having said all that, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Armchair Cricket Podcast.